Okay, people, so we were looking at this little issue that we have, and sometimes what you're going to have to do is make sure that when you're in a situation like this, recognizing that sometimes we get certain commands with certain elements and sometimes we don't. I want you to look at something really quick. Look at this floor when I select it, and look at the way this turns and changes up here. Then look at this one and notice I get more options. And the reason I get more options is something we're going to discuss while I pause the video. Okay, so we discussed that because this element has a slope arrow and this one is actually flat, and at its datum, we get a different set of options here. And one of them is our friend modify subelements. But before we do that, we want to change the what? We want to change the view configuration from shaded to wireframe. Now we can see the separate pieces of line work. I select this, I go to modify subelements, right? And now look what I can do dynamically. I can raise that up to where I need it to be, can I? Right? Or I can simply click on it. Let's try this one more time. Modify the sub element, move it to right where I want it to be, which is about 1 1/8 inches. See if I can snap to the end. It's not letting me snap to the end there. But that's pretty much close enough. Let me get in a little further. There, right at that edge, about 1 1/8. All right, and now I can click on modify. And now when I zoom out and go to SD, you notice how it put just a little more of a slope in the floor. No big deal there, but I did modify the sub elements on that, and now it mates at this end and it mates at that end, and that looks a lot nicer. I'm sure you'll agree. As that ramp transitions up to that landing, we're able to come up onto that landing. All right, so let's move to the next portion of this. Let's go back to the street level. Now we have this landing here, we have this ramp slash floor here, right? So what's our next step? Well, let's go ahead and let's draw in these steps over here. How would I do that? Well, again, I have to make a stair, and I'm going to make this cast in place monolithic stair. I'm going to click on my sketch for my boundary. I'm going to draw a line from here to here. And then I'm going to do something similar over here that I did before. So my stair in this instance, I'm not even going to draw in the other lines. I'm just going to draw this in here, right, to that endpoint and go up. And then I'm going to draw to this endpoint and I'm going to go up. And the reason I'm doing this, people, is because I'm trying to make this a little interesting, where individuals have kind of a place to sort of sit while they're on my stairs, right? Now I'm going to stop there for a second and make a decision. Where should I go now? Should I drag this back, or should I have taken that all the way up to here? Well, in this instance, I'm going to take this one all the way up to here, go back to my boundary line, come here, and I'm going to stop right there. Now I'm going to put in my risers. But I may have made a mistake. Let's stop, because this is something that happens often when we're doing this, and we'll discuss this off tape. Okay, so we were going to start that stair over because what we discovered is when we went into the stair command, we should have first said that we wanted to be where? From the street. We're going to go from the street to landing 2 in this instance because we're starting at the street down here. So we're going to go to our boundary, draw a boundary from here to here, and then we're going to do what? We're going to start here and come up, hit an endpoint and go up, hit an endpoint and go up, hit this endpoint and up, and so on, all the way through the process until I get here, and then I'm going to go all the way up, and then I'm going to finish right there. That's the boundary of my step. Now notice it says that there's 8 remaining risers instead of just 4, right? So now I can go to my riser command, and I can draw my first riser from here to here, and my next one from here to here, and so on and so on. And so it's always good before you draw. You've heard the saying, measure what? Measure twice, cut once. So in this instance, we're going to check twice and then draw once. Okay? So all the way over here we go, and we'll see if this works for us. Before I do that, remember, what do I want to do? I want to use the stair path tool and click it right from here straight down. Okay? Then I can hit finish one more time, and then it configures it. It draws my stair, and now we've got our next stair in here that we want. Now remember, we want to delete that railing. We don't need that railing. We're going to put our own railing back later, and then we're going to recognize that, oh, we've got some other gaps, some other problems or issues in there. But remember, what we're likely going to do at the end is come in there and draw separate floors, and then what might we do? We'll probably adjust our sub elements in order to get them nice and even to fill in those gaps. Now, what we could do if we went to a top view and we look down, could we not grab this and go to edit boundary and then change our boundary? Sure, we could. I could come in here and say, I want to make this boundary line come into here now, come out to here, up to here, right? And then I could trim this back to that point, but then it says it can't keep elements joined, so I have to unjoin elements and then draw in other portions of this. And then I have to do what? I have to draw this line kind of all the way almost to here, but look, they were going to overlap a little, and that's where a little problem could come in, but that still works too. And now I've got my ramp kind of integrated into my stair, right? And I've still got this close enough right here. I can go back and adjust that sub element if I want. Not super important. You can see how the sub element is still kind of working for us there. So we would come up that ramp, hit this landing, and there'd be a little bit more of a slope, but I don't think we're going to have a problem with code, because why? This distance isn't going to be longer than that 1 in 12 that we're dealing with, because again, looking at our south elevation, we're only at 2'4", and if you remember, we have 2'6" to get to a landing. So we're going to be okay in there with that particular little trouble that we're having. So let's go ahead and stop this video. I'll let you get caught up. We'll pick up in the next one. I have spoken.